All right, I thought it would be a good video to make to go through all of the manga that I'm reading to some extent, or rather, all of the manga that I'm following on MangaDex. So this isn't the entirety of the manga I'm reading, of course, because I read some stuff on Dynasty Scans and some stuff on Manga Stream, but it's a pretty big chunk of it. And a lot of it I picked up while the channel was on hiatus, or I never read on the channel in the first place. So I thought it would be a good opportunity to kind of show you all of those series and give you the opportunity to say, hey, I really want to see you talk about this, so please start reading it on the channel, which I'm totally open to for most of these. So yeah, let's get through it. This is my MD list, my MangaDex list. You can set the banner to whatever you want. This is a screen cap from Comic Girls. I thought it would be like Facebook, and it would just allow me to crop it down to like a normal banner size, but no, I just put the whole picture. But I kind of like it. It's kind of obnoxious. Anyways, so this is about a college girl who gets hit on at a mixer, or picked up at a mixer by an older girl. This is a Yuri story. That's exactly what it sounds like. I think I'm a little bit behind on it, yeah. I'm taking a little bit of a break from reading Yuri right now for reasons that I might get into in another video. But we could read it on the channel. It's quite fun. It's nicely straightforward and a little more explicit than a lot of our kind of traditional high school shoujo ai kind of stuff. This is After School Dice Club. We read this on the channel. It's a very fun series about playing board games. They play real board games. It looks like the Raws are up to volume 12, which is crazy, so good luck to you, Water Flame, and I guess now Super Dry, to try to get through 12 volumes of board game action. This does not seem like an easy series to scan late. At any rate, I really like it. We will continue trying to read it as it comes out. This is a very silly manga called Anchan no An, where Anchan says, and she's like suffering. I think it's over. Or not? For some reason I thought I saw the last one. I haven't read this in a while. It's fine. I don't know. It's silly. Probably won't read it on the channel. There's not really too much to say about these sort of really silly gag-based 4-komas. Anime Yell. I started reading this because I was so impressed with the anime. There hasn't been very much scanlated. Likely I won't read it on the channel. Again, these sort of just kind of cute 4-komas. There isn't a whole lot to say about them. But it's good. The anime was great, and the manga's pretty great so far too. This is a really lovely series. Ashitaba-san Chi no Mukugurashi. This is kind of spoilers here, but whatever, it's a plot point that's been hinted at from the start. It's about this guy in the middle of all these women. He marries this girl, Hinata, and moves in with her family. All of the women of the family have very large breasts, and there is quite a lot of fan service around this, a lot of pretty explicit fan service, which is why I never really considered reading it on this channel. But it is a very nice, just kind of family comedy. Lots of really heartwarming scenes, lots of quite sad scenes, sentimental scenes, nice, really good, and really well drawn too, with very detailed backgrounds. This is a spin-off that takes place in the same universe as Oku-san, which I think is a little more popular. I'll talk about it later. But both of them kind of remind me of Yotsuba, just in the very naturalistic and detailed backgrounds and kind of the pacing and subject matter of just like very delightful day-to-day life, except that with all of this real wholesome goodness, at the same time are just these outrageously large breasts, and it's almost surreal. But it really shows that this author, you know, has a way that they like to draw their characters, and that sort of passion, that sort of almost vulnerability, I guess I would say, in really expressing those sort of things in your manga, I think is admirable in its own way. And that even though it has these tags, and this tag, which is not at all appropriate, I think this is actually quite a well-done series. And I hope that more people kind of give it a chance and look past the more physical absurdities of it. This is Asobi Asobase. We probably have heard of the anime, which became kind of a crossover hit. Looks like I'm a little bit behind on this. We could maybe read this on the channel. It is quite funny, and you end up learning a decent amount about Japanese play, games that Japanese kids play with each other. Really strange, though. I don't really want to tell you too much because it is kind of mind-blowing how bizarre it is. This was just a very limited series. I don't think there's going to be anything more of it, but it was just a Twitter comic by someone who has Asperger's, or now we say is on the autism spectrum, but has highly functional. Kind of explaining what it's like to have this, and kind of different aspects of their life. This chapter especially, I think, is really cool. It involves some contribution by Ogawa-san, who is one of the best Guilty Gear players of all time, and just sort of comparing that to martial arts, comparing the sort of determination that you have in certain things, and how being on the autism spectrum can influence the way you kind of go about these sorts of challenges. So it's very interesting, a very kind and sympathetic look at these people and what their life is like, and quite educational too. I think I first found out about this because my kitty, who of course is a great supporter of the channel, was working on this series, and then I checked what other series that their Scanlation group had been working on, and I saw this, and I was like, all right, we'll check it out. So there's no more to read, so we probably won't get to it on the channel. If you'd like me to reread it on the channel, we can kind of talk about what's in it. That might be fun. This is an old Fukumoto series about Mahjong. I'm a little confused because I'm pretty sure that on Batoto, this had been completely uploaded, I think. Or maybe I had just read the entirety of the first volume. But I'm a little confused now. I don't... like, this is not the last chapter I remember. I remember stuff that, like, is past this. But it's a nice little series. It starts off very, very Mahjong focused, and is just sort of a fun, gag-driven Mahjong series. But then, as is Fukumoto's way, he kind of expands and talks about the characters in general a little more. So it's a nice series. I really don't get what's happening, though, because I could have sworn that I had read the end of this, and yet here it's not uploaded completely. So maybe it's just that the chapters didn't get ported over from Batoto, which would be a shame. But yeah, I don't know. If they get uploaded again, like maybe we'll try reading some of it to make sure that I have read all of it. But I could have sworn I read the very end of it. Or oh gosh, is it that I read the end of this? And like this is like the prequel to this one? No. It's just a different person. I think. But I think I've read all of this too. What's going on here? Hold on. Let's dive in a bit and see if it's the one I'm thinking of. No. This is something else again. I don't know. I'm very confused. Someday we'll do like a complete Fukumoto breakdown, and we'll talk about all of his series and how they connect to each other and all the different spin-offs and sequels and stuff. Try to get our head around exactly what we have read and what remains to be read and all of that. Anyways, this is Bakemonogatari. This is the manga adaptation of the light novel turned anime. I'm really, really impressed with it so far. I just cannot get enough of these characters in the story. I hope that they go really, really far with this and cover all of the later arcs and stuff. So far, it's coming at a pretty slow pace, but I'm more than happy to wait if it's going to remain this good. This is a very silly one. It's about an office worker that has big boobs and her subordinate. Um, it's like pretty straightforward. It's just kind of gag based for Coma, but they really start expanding a lot more on the relationship between these two. It's nice. It's kind. Sure. Oh god, this. I don't want to talk about this. This is absurd. I can't believe that this exists. It's so insane. It goes further than you would think is possible, which is saying a lot. If you've read a lot of manga, you think you have an idea of what the outer bounds are, but you don't. You don't. This I haven't read yet. It's a story of the people working in the Osaka animation department, including our boy Anno. I've heard it's really good. I just haven't gotten to reading it yet. I just put it on my follows list to remind myself to read it at some point. So we might read it on the channel. This is We Can't Study, of course. We're quite a bit behind on it. Yeah, we're very behind on it, but we'll get there eventually. It looks like there's some exciting stuff coming. This, I'm not quite sure why I was following this. It's like a compilation of all gender bending stories. So I think there was like something in like some specific thing that I was reading. Is it this one, The Girl's Sanctuary? That sounds quite familiar. Yeah. Okay. So this is what's up. I was reading this story by Takamichi, who's one of my favorite artists. And it was quite nice. The scans are like so terrible, but whatever. Lego, old man. But then it got folded into this entire anthology, which it's a part of, I guess. So I don't know. Maybe there's other stuff in here that I'm interested in, but it's mostly just this Girl's Sanctuary, and it looks like I've read all of it so far. But we gotta wait for more of it. All right, whatever. This is over now. I haven't read all of it yet, though, I think. So I'll catch up with it and finish it. It's like a, I don't know, it's dumb. It's just another stupid ecchi series that I read for some reason. The art is quite nice, and the kind of dynamic, I think, of a teacher who's constantly being sexually assaulted by all sorts of unfortunate happenstance and stuff by his students, and of course can't do anything because he's a good teacher. That's fun. That's a recipe for hijinks if I've ever heard one. This is a really absurd one. It's by Cool Kyoshinsha, he of Dragon Maid, he who got a KyoAni adaptation. Also draws stuff like this. All these translations are pretty funny. Yeah, it's exactly what it looks like, and perhaps even more so. What really surprises me is because of certain restrictions and limitations they place on themselves in terms of what sexual activities they'll actually depict, it actually bumps its way up. It's not a full hentai series, it's just ecchi, because of certain things that are always covered up. And I don't really want to explain too much more, but whatever. This is Tonigawa. Not too much has been scanlated so far, and I think I've read all of it that it has been. But we watched the anime, and we really liked the anime. I don't know why I'm saying we. I did. I watched the anime. I really liked the anime. So we, as the channel, can read some more if it ends up coming out. This is City. I'm way behind on this. It doesn't look like, yeah, not too much has been scanlated. I think perhaps because it started getting localized, they Habanero Scans decided like it wasn't worth their time. It'd be better if people just bought the English copies, which sure I can agree with. So I've been buying them as they come out in English, but I'm quite a few behind now. It's nice. I don't like it quite as much as Nichijou, not yet at least, but it is quite fun. The interconnectivity of it is pretty great. This is a legendary series that has been running since like the 80s. And for a while, there was someone who very bravely trying to pick it up and scanlate all of it, even though there's like upwards of 100 volumes. Let's see how long it's been going. Starting in 1986. 1985, and it's still running, so we're up to 148 volumes. So I'm not confident that we'll ever see the entirety of it scanlated. That is just an insanely ambitious process, but I read, I think, most of these. It's really nice. The fact that every chapter has a recipe in it, I think, is just so lovely. And he's a great character. This is Inio Asano's latest long-running series. We're quite behind on it. I don't know why. I kind of find it emotionally exhausting to read, as is the case with Asano's work, but we'll get to it eventually. Trust, we'll get to it eventually. I'm really liking it. I think it's a pretty wonderful series, but it's a lot. This is a nice little 4-koma, 5 girls, 4-koma. You know how it is. It's about this girl who accidentally enters the art project or the art course in high school. She has to study overtime to keep up. There she meets new friends and learns to appreciate art. I mean, I can't really say it any better than that. It's great. I don't know. There's not a whole lot I could possibly say about it, so I'm not sure if I'd ever read it on the channel, but it's very cute and the art is good, so check it out. This is a very silly series. Gucci-kun doesn't miss a thing. It's finished now. It's basically this kid who doesn't appear on the cover here. this elementary school boy with glasses and a very nondescript looking haircut, who miraculously and sometimes strategically sees small erotic moments in life. And it has like a nice easygoing pace. The art is really nice. The moments are consistently novel and always hit that sweet spot of slightly erotic. The expanded cast is developed in some ways. It's quite good, and sometimes the situations are quite. The novelty of them is quite thrilling. So I think this is quite a good series. I haven't finished reading it yet. Probably won't read it on the channel. There's not really a whole lot to say about it. There's another real stupid one. Arrow Manga Sensei. I watched the anime of this, so I started reading the manga out of curiosity. It's quite behind. Like just now, we're getting to stuff that wasn't covered in the anime, but it's really far behind the Japanese manga, and it's really far behind the light novels, of course. But you know, you just look at these tags and you're like, oh god, and then you close the tab. This I started reading. It's pretty silly. It's like a real sports shonen type premise or kind of presentation, but instead of, yeah, it's not Rocky the movie. I mean, you know, honestly, I could just read these. These are often very well written. So yeah, instead of training up and going to play sports, he trains up and plays an NES game. And what I really like is that they're actual NES games, and the stuff he learns to do are actual strategies for those games. And the fact that it was made contemporary with those games, I think, is really cool. Like a lot of series will now kind of go retro and go back and look at those games, like High Score Girl. But this was actually coming out when those games were like cutting edge, so I think that's kind of fun. I don't know if we're ever going to get any more of this. It didn't seem that popular. These 2 scanlated chapters kind of just appeared as like a blip and then were gone into the void, so I don't know. This is Fukumoto All-Stars. It's the silly crossover series between all sorts of Fukumoto characters. You know that I'm super into this, and we'll certainly be reading more of it on the channel once it comes out. Just trying to tease out all the different Fukumoto in-jokes is really fun. And then also feeling like, oh geez, I'm a big fraudumoku or something. If I don't get the jokes, it just means we need to read more Fukumoto. This is Fudu Mapura. It's another cool Kyoshinsa series. This one much less lewd. It's got some Yuri undertones, which is nice. Very strange premise. This girl on the left cannot communicate out loud. She can only signal her happiness or unhappiness by raising signboards that range from 1 to 10. And how this girl kind of slowly learns to understand her and become friends with her, and yeah, it's nice. Gakugarashi, of course, we're reading on the channel. We are 2 chapters behind. That's not good. We'll have to get to those soon. It's ending soon. And I think basically we're in the final volume now. it's it's not an easy read, and I don't know, man. I don't know if the happy ending is coming or not. This is a really nice series. It looks kind of dumb, and the premise is genuinely pretty dumb. So this Gyaru girl, a super powerful gal type, who joins the school's cooking club. She falls head over heels in love with the home economics teacher. And at the start, it's just kind of silly cooking shenanigans. Every chapter, a new recipe, and of course, you know I love that, with a lot of gal type fan service. Sure. But then it evolves into a much more serious love story, and one that I found myself surprisingly very engrossed with, as she has to ward off love rivals and tries to push further into the forbidden relationship of teacher and student. And of course, Yabe Sensei has nothing he wants to do with it. He wants to keep it at a completely professional distance between them, but more and more he's kind of learning about her as a person, and they're connecting, and she's developing as a person too. The things that she gets good at and stuff it's really lovely. It's actually such a lovely series, and I don't know how it's going to end. I don't know if they're ever going to cross that line. But I think if they do, they're going to do it in a way that I don't just reject outright, like that I find actually compelling, if not necessarily persuasive, let's say. Okay, good one, very good one. This, on the other hand, no, big, big problem. This is kind of mysterious. So it starts off a lot very similar to Gal Gohan. Instead of cooking, it's cleaning. She's a gigantic slob, and then based on various twists of fate, this kind of nerdy guy moves in with her and starts cleaning up her place. And every episode has a new cleaning tip. And at first I was just blown away by how wonderful this premise was and the fact that they were sincerely doing it. And then things went totally off the rails. First with like a long arc about how she's not wearing underwear at school, and it's just like really blatant fan service. And then it starts getting into the student president, the president of student council, how she has severe trauma based on a foiled rape attempt. And it's just so tonally off the mark and terribly done, and just baffling that it was done at all. And then abruptly the series just ends. So what I've heard is that the author was just kind of sick of it, didn't want to do any more gal cleaning. Maybe he realized there's not that many cleaning tips that also provide the requisite fan service or something. I don't know. And was just trying to get the series canceled because he couldn't get out of the contract unless it was like actually forcibly canceled or something. So I don't know. I don't know if that's true. But that's what's happening. That's what happened with this one, and it's a real shame because I think it had potential, but it nosedived in a way that no other series I've ever read has. Anyways, this is something completely different. It's very nice and lovely. Hanani Arashi. Just a really, really nice, beautiful Yuri series that we've read a little bit of on the channel, and we're a bit behind on, so we'll catch up on the channel at some point. But as I said, taking a little break from Yuri. It's too much to explain right now in this video, but when we come back to it. This is a really silly 4-koma by Daioki, who I know from doing some really wonderful Toho 4-koma. And this has the same sort of sense of humor and the same sort of silliness, so I'm into it. Probably won't read it on the channel. Again, it's not too much to say about stuff like this. Now here is a masterpiece. Here is an outright masterpiece. This perhaps is the coziest manga of all time, and I do not throw around superlatives like that too easily. This is one that is just so relaxing, so funny, so peaceful. Even the art style has kind of a coziness to it, where the kind of sketchiness of it and the fact that the chapters are often only 1 or 2 pages long Um, I just chose a random chapter, but it's quite a lewd one. This one is also kind of lewd too. It's so great. I don't know. The way that the humor actually does contain these ruder jokes and stuff, I think is also just kind of a good cozy sense of easygoingness, you know? So it's about these two siblings that don't work. They're both neats and almost shut-ins, but they have friends, and their friends come and visit, and they occupy their time. And oh, it's just so lovely. I love this series so much. Please check it out. It's so much fun. I don't know if we'll read it on the channel because there's not a whole lot to say about it, and it's kind of awkward having the chapters be like 1 to 5 pages long. But yeah, just check it out. It's so great. This is another silly 4-koma. I'm a little behind on it. It's pretty wacky. I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it. There's quite a few of these, and sometimes I kind of get them mixed up in my head. Mostly like the art style is what really separates this one. I kind of like this like super flat, super basic. There's a lot of jokes of this kind of nature where it's like things left unsaid, awkwardness. This is the sequel to Fukumoto's legendary series 10, now following Hiro, who was kind of the young upstart during 10, as he looks for his mentor 10 and tries to succeed in the staggering genius vision of Akagi. Oh, we're a little behind on this. Oh, cool. All right, so that's something we can read soon. It's quite good. So far, he's just been going and fighting all the people that fought Akagi in the past, as kind of some reiteration of that legend, I guess. And then perhaps someday he will succeed to Dying Wishes of Akagi and go even further beyond. So we'll see. This is a lovely series. We're reading this on the channel. It reminds me a lot of Dungeon Meshi, which I think I've said many times before. Just this kind of more scientific look at the full repercussions and realistic ecosystem that would necessarily evolve from there being the types of monsters that there are. Here, of course, instead of looking at kind of the anatomical aspects of the monsters and how they would taste, we're looking at the societies they would form and how they would talk. And it's really great. The art is great. It's funny. It's kind of got a nice sense of mystery to it. Yeah, I'm really, really impressed with this. Please check it out. Here we go. Another masterpiece. This, of course, adapted into Shaft's 4 seasons, which stand out as my favorite anime of all time. The series just gives me a bliss and contentment and peace unlike any other. It's set in an art school. We got our girl Yuno, who's like my favorite anime character of all time, hanging out with her housemates, living in the Hidamari apartments, enjoying life. It's great. It's so great. It comes out very infrequently. Okay, Ume. My beloved Ume Sensei is not the most motivated mangaka of all time. Things just kind of come out when they come out, but we take it. We take those. And every chapter is just such a new joy. This is a nice series. It's a little furry-y, so if you're really opposed to that, stay away. I'll kind of show you what the art looks like. Where's our girl? There she is, Tama-chan. So it's about Tama-chan, who is a fox deity. She's one of the Inari that guard the shrine, you know, those statues that have like things in their mouths. And her and her sisters, the other statues, decide they want to see what the human world is like. So they transform, try to integrate into human society. But her transformation isn't that good. And everyone can tell that she's actually what she is. So it's about her learning about human society and having kind of dog-like antics and all sorts of fun. A good one. This is Hinamatsuri. I don't even know where to begin explaining this. It's a festival, all right. We're a little behind on it, aren't we? All right, sweet. Okay, that's another one that we can read hopefully soon. Yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Do you like the Yakuza? Do you like the heartwarming stories about the homeless? Do you like super intense Esper on Esper battles? Do you like rock illusion people accidentally starting a cult? I don't even know. I don't even know. There's too much to say about this one, but it's a masterpiece, that's for sure. Another masterpiece, back-to-back masterpieces. This is Bochi. The anime is airing this season, and it's great. I'm so happy that they were able to adapt it properly and carry on the genius and the comedy and the heartwarming and the absolutely lovable characters. I think the manga still has the edge in terms of comedic timing, but that's just something that manga sometimes cannot be exceeded at, depending on the sort of humor that you're going for. So the manga is definitely still worth reading too. It's like an epic, you know? She's making all these friends. So yeah, it's about this girl. She's been challenged by her childhood friend to make friends with absolutely every person in her middle school class. And then she's really doing it. Each little arc is about her approaching another girl and getting to know her and becoming friends. It's so great. All right, you know what? I'm actually gonna call it here. Or let's see. Oh boy, I thought we were maybe about halfway through, but this is half an hour long. So I'm just gonna keep making half an hour long videos until we cover this entire list. That is the plan. So I'll see you tomorrow as we talk about some more manga that I'm reading.